What, baby? Wait. Did you get the back to her though? Okay, we're gonna have something in just a minute.
I had to be different. You are normally different. You don't have to be different on purpose.
If I want gummy ones.
All right, listen.
Hang on. Huh? Already?
Welcome aboard, everybody.
Hey.
Everybody in the back hear me okay?
Yeah.
Fantastic. Real quickly, just before we get on the way, the Coast Guard does require me to go over some safety rules and regulations, okay? On the right side of the vessel, we have 38 adult life jackets. On the left side, we have 32 child life jackets for children 90 pounds and under. In the back of the vessel, there are 4 infant life jackets for children 30 pounds and under. In the event of an on-water emergency where we need to abandon ship, can anybody tell me where we would get off this vessel?
Through the window?
Exactly. Any opening that you see, even my front windshield does go down. In the event that we did have an on-water emergency, and I ask you to go ahead and grab one of these tabs here, pull it down, you can see this clip right here is attached to every D-ring on the front. Disconnect that clip from the D-ring. These life jackets are reversible. Does not matter which way you put them on. Put your head through the hole. Take the strap, wrap it around your back, reattach this clip right here to the D-ring in the front, take this handle here and pull it tight. Any questions? No? Fantastic.
Okay.
For our infants, that is a vest style life jacket, and you would need to put it on like a regular vest. You unzipper it, put it on and zip it back up. And none of you understood any of that. There's 2 placards in the back to show you exactly how to do it. Also, in the back of the vessel, there on the outside, there is a life ring with a light attached to it. Right here above my head is another one. This one here has a line attached to it. No unauthorized swimming this evening. I have no idea what's in the water. I can't see it. I wouldn't trust it. Also in the back of the vessel, sir, underneath the view, yeah, you're looking around. Underneath the view, there's a 5-pound fire extinguisher. Right here to the left of me is a 10-pound fire extinguisher. This is a non-smoking fluid. No smoking of any kind, please. Regular cigarettes, e-cigarettes, or vapes. Please. The only time that I ask that everybody please stay seated, keep all body parts inside the vessel at all times is while we are on the way on land. However, while we are on the water again, you can move about a little bit, but please don't try and touch the water. Reach over and touch the water. Again, I don't know what's in there. So, while we're on land, sometimes I do get close to tractor trailers and trees. It's not a great start for any reason. I don't want to
Let me get to that.
Okay, do you have any questions at all for me before we get underway? No? Alright, clear your mind. This is a haunted history tour. Okay?
I need to keep
My name is Captain Dave. I'm going to be your driver. This is Wanda. Wanda, yeah, well,
Change the name of the
she changed
Dawn.
her name.
Is that your duck thing?
Wanda is going to entertain us throughout this evening. So if you have any questions,
She probably needs her
stay till the
jacket.
end, because this is a haunted history tour. Right now, we're doing fun yet.
Abigail, you're gonna need your jacket, baby. It's open. You're gonna need your jacket because it's open.
I usually get legal questions all the time, but no, I will not personally return your phone call. Now, I am from South Jersey. He's from Mobile, I guess. I don't know where he's from either, but yeah, there's a long joke.
Yeah, hang on just a second. Let me put my jacket on. You need to put your jacket on too because it's gonna be cold. Can you grab that and give it back to me later on? I'm having issues holding on to it. Thank you.
Are you already scared? Just by the music? Alright everybody, welcome to the Gulf Coast Ducks Haunted History Tour. Now if you've ever been on my daytime tour, I tell a lot of jokes and I make fun of Dave and the fact that he looks like David J. Maloney. But during the nighttime tours, during our haunted tours, I try to tell you a little bit darker history. Things that a lot of people know in the city of Mobile, but they don't want to realize that it's actually true. Now, we dug really deep to get these stories. We actually worked with this organization called the Serpents of the Anvil. They helped us find a lot of these stories. So if you want to look them up after the tour, please be my guest. I'm also going to tell you some other stuff that you could also see YouTube videos about. Like I have one specific story about Fort Condy Village, just right back there where that wedding is actually happening. And they had a lot of paranormal investigations back there, found a lot of ghosts. It was really creepy. You can go watch that on YouTube. Just be warned, it's a little scary. Now we're going to start our journey tonight in the river. That's where we're headed right now. We're kind of in search of these spirits and souls that still haunt our city today. Now you never know where they're lurking, in the shadows or maybe behind you, underneath your seat, or in the water right beside you. So as we said, make sure you don't touch the water. And make sure you don't reach your hands out the side of the boat during any part of the tour. You never know what could get you. Now there is a lot of kids on board, so I'm going to be family friendly tonight. Don't want to scare your children too much and they won't go to sleep later. You're welcome. Woo!
You better be having fun.
Now, two things I need to fair warn you about before we splash down in the water. One, there's nothing that Dave or I can do to save you if something decides to reach over this boat and grab you. I'm on it right now. And the second thing is that just because you don't see these ghosts and spirits doesn't mean that they're not there.
I'm going to crack do this like she got maybe. We're in.
I know. It's awfully dark though, so I don't know,
Just being
baby.
out in the river is kind of scary enough, honestly.
Are we in the water?
We're getting in the water now. Oh my goodness. Here we go.
Mom,
All right, now we're about to splash in the water, so make sure you hold on for this one. Does anybody have anything to confess before we start this journey? I think I heard I love Justin Bieber from The Man in the Back. Okay, ready, Dave? Let's go. What was that? 3-hour tour. Alright, so first story to start off that a lot of these stories too are not really intended to scare you. It's again just haunted history. It may scare some of the little ones on board, but I'll try to keep it family friendly, like I said. Now, this was back in the 1800s. There was a steamboat that was traveling down the Tom Bigby River headed to the port of Mobile. Now, it was carrying a lot of cotton because cotton was king back then. It had about 33 passengers on board. It was a really dark, cold night in February. The waters were very, very icy cold, of course. Now, in the middle of the night, when everyone was sleeping, nobody really knows what happened. But the ship caught fire. Now, you can imagine a steamboat carrying about 1,200 bales of cotton. Caught quick. The entire ship was engulfed in flames. So what is everyone to do on a steamboat that's on fire? Well, you have about two options. You can stay aboard, maybe burn alive, or you can take your chances with Mother Nature to hop right over the side in those icy cold waters. And they did what every man would do, hopped overboard. But when they hit the water, almost immediately got hypothermia. Turned into human popsicles, I like to say. And of course, you can imagine what happens from there. All 33 passengers died in the water in the Tom Bigby River. Now, if you hear this little song, little steam pipes that are playing right now, those are similar to the steam pipe sounds that used to come from the steamboat. Now, we call this ship the Eliza Battle. That is, of course, her name. It's named after family was a very prominent family here in Mobile.
Well, I have ride a boat before.
Sometimes,
I
in the middle of the
haven't
night,
ride
February,
a duck boat.
people who work over here in Austin will tell you that they hear something similar to this. Some steam pipes kind of happening because this is a 24-hour facility. And it's almost like this phantom boat of the Tom Bigby kind of rolls in with the fog. You hear the steam pipes and then it's gone. And this happens almost every single February. Now thankfully it's March, so she must have already passed through here. But it still is not something to mess with. Now you're probably wondering where we're headed. We're actually going straight ahead to these big grain silos right over here. Now these grain silos have been around since about the 1920s, 30s. Been renovated a few times and rebuilt. Well, the family that ended up buying them, they just had moved here from Virginia. They moved to Alabama to the port city because, of course, a lot of people were exporting grain. This was going to be a real money maker for them. Now, they had 2 young sons, Joseph and John. Now, Joseph and John really loved coming over here to the grain silos. They loved playing at the grain silos because they could climb up to the very top and look out over what the city was and look out over the river. They could even see the bay all the way from the top of those grain silos. Now, one day, this man was there, a very strange man. Joseph, John, they didn't know who this was. Now, being the 2 nice young men that they were, they went to go talk to this strange man. But they found that this man was very troubled. He was a homeless man that was just kind of wandering. And he started to chase them. Started chasing them around and around the grain silos. And where else do you go when someone's chasing you? You go up. So they ran up the grain silos up to the very, very top. Not thinking that this man would chase them all the way up to the very top too. Now poor John. John didn't get away fast enough. John was pushed right over off the top of the 3rd grain silo, fell all the way to his death at the very bottom. Now that's where we're taking you today. We like to tell you we're just taking you over here to get the second splash. But we're really showing you where poor little John passed away. Now don't worry, it's not that scary once you get up there. We're doing okay so far? I'm trying to be spooky. Now you can imagine after poor little John passed away, Joseph did get away, ran, found his parents. His parents ended up selling these grain silos, which of course I would too, right? Let's just hope nothing's up there. As we go up this ramp, just make sure that you hold on just for 1 second. That's getting a little steep and it may be a little bumpy.
I'm not very happy.
Are you scared? It's a spooky tour, but it's so fun so far, isn't it? We're going up. We're going up. We're going up. Oh my goodness. We're out of the water. We're going out of the water.
All right, now if you count with me, 1, 2, 3rd grain silo. That's where poor little John fell. Poor John.
Melinda, are you taking pictures? Yeah. Okay, good.
Just do it! I knew it!
Okay, I think we got a problem here. Maybe a whopping 50 miles an hour. Oh my Lord have mercy, everybody. Hang on 1 second.
I guess they weren't chopping trees down when we were going to the bathroom.
That's not something that happens every day.
Oh, we're going back in the water.
There's gonna be a big splash.
I know.
That was fun! It felt like a roller coaster!
Woo!
Oh my god! My hair! And we went down and splashed. I think it actually happened.
Now my next story really
I think it actually happened.
isn't that scary if you think about it, but this is a really big story that kind of circulates around Mobile and the Baldwin County area as well. Now, there was this alligator that used to hang out around the Mobile River in the Mobile Bay. And they say it was about 14 feet long and it weighed about 1,500 pounds.
I got soaked. How about you?
This alligator,
That was like Splash Mountain.
Oh my goodness.
That was like Splash Mountain.
I know.
now they called him Two-Toe Tom because one night this farmer in Baldwin County had seen some of his cows and his chickens and they were going missing. They didn't know what was happening. So the farmer set a trap. He thought this was maybe a raccoon, maybe a small bear. Never expected it to be an alligator. So he heard the trap go off and the rustling around. Ran outside and all he found was 2 of the little gator claws. That's why they call him Two-Toe Tom, because he only has 2 little claws left. Now the legend kind of started, again, circulating throughout Mobile. Everybody was a little scared about this alligator. They didn't know where he was, where he was going to pop up next. But the Cooper brothers, back in 1920, they went gator hunting. They said that they had caught Two-Toe Tom. And everybody's torment would be over when he wasn't going to get anybody else's cows or chickens. So they took 2 of the gator claws and they preserved it in moonshine, because what else would you preserve it in, right? And told everybody that, of course, Two-Toe Tom was dead. No need to worry about him anymore. Well, the jar ended up busting about 10 years later, and everybody found out that the Cooper brothers were lying about this old alligator. What he'd actually done was just killed a normal gator, cut off 2 of his claws, put it in the jar. That means that Two-Toe Tom could still be out here. Not exactly sure where he would be. But there's been strange stories coming from the bay for the past 20 years or so about people disappearing from boats and birds being kind of snatched out of the sky into the bay. We think that this may could be Two-Toe Tom. I think he needs a scarier name personally, but
I think it should be
who knows?
Ruby Tom.
Yeah.
Now, probably most of you have been to the Battleship, right? Well, the Battleship is also really, really haunted. Now, the Battleship never had any casualties on board from enemy fire, but it did have some friendly fire accidents. Now, what happened was whenever they were building the Battleship, this was back in 1942, turret number 5 and turret number 9 accidentally faced each other and they went off, killed both of the 2 men standing on the other side of the turret. So they say that those are the 2 men that still haunt the Battleship. I don't know if any of you kids on board are Boy Scouts or Girl Scouts, but most of the Boy Scout and Girl Scout troops around here will go spend the night on the Battleship, and every single time they say that something happened to them or they saw a ghost standing next to turret number 5.
Christiane.
But the Battleship staff will tell you that there's nothing haunted about the Battleship. They don't know anything about that. They never heard anything about that. They just deny it every single time. But we know that this warship has to have some type of haunting attached to it. Just has to. Now people will say that when they're on the Battleship, they hear something that could be right behind them. Footsteps, walking up right behind them. They turn around, nothing's there. And they also hear whispers and what sounds like people yelling, "Fire, fire," firing missiles at the enemy, of course. Now, I'm not sure if you know this either. There's actually tunnels that go up under Fort Condy, and those tunnels run all the way down to the Malaga Inn, over to where Gulf Quest is now, and then back to the Fort Condy. Now, right where Gulf Quest is built, that actually used to be a saloon. It was called Our House Saloon. Now, back in the day, there used to be a mob that ran Mobile. And this mob called themselves the Buckets of Blood. Now, you never want to cross the mob. I think everybody knows that by now. But when you did cross the mob, you would disappear. You would get snatched down into those tunnels, taken over to the saloon. You can finish the rest of the story from there, by what the name of the mob is. Now, I don't know if this mob is still around today. I really and truly don't. There's been some weird stories coming kind of similar to what used to happen, but you never really hear about it on the news, so I don't really know if it's true or not. But next time you see Mayor Stimson, ask him about the Buckets of Blood and see what he has to say. Just see. It's a little creepy. And I'm not sure who has been in the tunnels recently. Of course, I've never been in the tunnels myself. But I don't actually really want to know what they'll find in those tunnels. Really, really don't.
Why? Sharks might go over there.
Now, if you know anything about the founding of Mobile, we were founded back in 1702. Now, by two brothers being Boyington and Iberville. Now, these were Frenchmen that came over here.
Are you having fun?
Decided to start this new colony, this new world.
Yeah.
Well, when they got over here, they realized that they needed women to start this colony, right? Gotta have women. So they wrote to the French government, asked if they would send them about 30 or 40 women who were willing and able to come to this new world to start this new colony with them. So the French government sent about 30 women on board the ship called the Pelican, sent them straight to Mobile. Now, while they were crossing the ocean, they stopped in Havana, Cuba, which is one of our sister cities, to get some supplies. But they picked up something that they really weren't expecting. Yellow fever. Now, I don't know if you know what yellow fever is. Yellow fever is actually where your organs start to shut down. They shut down one by one. Your eyes turn yellow. You start bleeding from every pore on your body, your eyes, your mouth, your nose. Your skin turns yellow, and there's no cure. Nothing that anyone can do for you after you've had yellow fever. But it takes about a week before all the symptoms really start to set in. So these women left Havana, Cuba, happy as ever, arrived here at Mobile. There's about 20 marriages within the first few days that they were here, and then more yellow fever started to kick in. Now that's what happened to about half the colony, actually. Half the colony died from yellow fever. Now we call those Pelican girls the founding mothers of our city, even though they brought over a really, really bad disease. Just be thankful that yellow fever is really not a thing anymore. Everybody in the back doing okay so far? Awesome. All right, now this is the fun part, the downtown part of the tour. So we're gonna kind of turn here on Government Street. We're gonna go up Church Street, go around Church Street Graveyard, and then we're gonna head over to St. Michael's, and then come back down, back to Fort Connie. Has anybody ever stayed at the Malaga Inn? I stayed there. Very, very beautiful hotel, right?
Isabella, let me have the candy back. Candy.
Now the Malaga was actually not originally a hotel. So it was two houses, two twin houses that were built by two twin sisters' husbands. So these two twin sisters, of course, adored each other, had to stay together for the rest of their life. They convinced their husbands to build them these houses. And that's why both sides of the hotel look so similar. Well, hard times hit, a war hit, they lost their homes. But this young woman here in Mobile, she bought the two homes. She came from a wealthy family herself. And she bought the two homes, turned it into the hotel. She added kind of the courtyard in the back. She added the lobby that connected the two homes. And they call her the woman in white. She wore a big white hoop skirt, a white blouse, and a beautiful white hat. I kind of think of it similar to what an Eliza Battle would wear. Not all the ruffles though, but in white. Just to give you a visual there. Now apparently, she still haunts that hotel today. People hear her walking around. Her footsteps, of course, as any scary story goes. But they also hear the footsteps of the soldiers that are walking in those tunnels, like I told you before, that go from Fort Connie to the Malaga over to where Gulf Quest is. You hear people in those tunnels, they hear soldiers marching, and they hear that swishing of the white skirt from that white woman. Now the reason I asked if anybody had ever stayed at the Malaga Inn, it's kind of funny here, but the most haunted room in the entire hotel is room 007. You're thinking James Bond, of course. This one has nothing to do with James Bond, though. It's just room 007. And one of our other tour guides, she actually got married at the Malaga Inn. And she was told before she got married there that things kind of go missing from people's rooms sometimes. And they think that it's that woman in white, the owner of the hotel, kind of walking around either misplacing some of your items or maybe she's taking it. We're not really sure. But Sam, the one who got married there, the day of her wedding, found that her pearls are missing. And she stayed in that hotel that night before. I'm not really sure what happened. I don't know. If it was one of her family members, I don't know. But it is pretty suspicious. Now, like I said, we're headed there now. When you look in the lobby, we're going to kind of stop so you can see it. There's this chandelier that's hanging. Now, this woman in white, if she doesn't like you, as I said, her spirit still haunts this hotel. If she doesn't like you, she will let you know. And she will let everyone else in the hotel know too. Now the way that you know that she doesn't like you, the chandelier starts to sway and starts to shake. Now people say that this happens all the time, but being the nice southern woman that she is, she's never going to tell you to leave. She'll just kind of torment everybody else in the hotel until you finally get out.
We're gonna blow the whistle and we're gonna go. Where's your duck?
And that's the Fort Connie Inn over there. That's
I'm
where
ready.
That
Hang on.
that you see.
Right here. I'm already got
Very
spot.
beautiful. Story is we actually got killed.
We love you!
The Malaga Inn is just past this stoplight. It's built right in front of the Civic Center. People always book this hotel out for Mardi Gras, so if you know anybody that does that, ask them for their scary stories. And room 007 is right above the lobby. People say she also turns on and off the lights. That's one of her pet peeves, I guess you could say. She doesn't like it when the lights are on, so she turns them off. Alright, now here's the Malaga, just right up here to the left-hand side. Again, we'll kind of slow down and stop, just so you can see that chandelier that kind of sways back and forth. Must be a wedding here tonight, too.
Where's the chandelier? There's the chandelier. It's not swaying.
Alright, now we're on to my favorite story of the night. You guys are really going to like this one. Now this one is about old Charles Boyington. Has anyone heard this story before? Boyington Oak? So Charles Boyington, he was from Connecticut and he moved down here back about the 1830s. He was a printer. He came down here to Mobile, didn't have any friends, and he met this man named Nathaniel Frost, who was also a printer. Now they lived in a house here on Church Street in a boarding house, and they became the best of friends almost instantly. Well, Charles Boyington, he would go to these balls that they had at the Alabama Hotel. He would play there, talk to women, of course. And he met this lovely woman named Rose Chapman. Now, Rose was the talk of the town. She was from the very wealthy family. Everybody loved Rose. Everybody wanted to date Rose, but she'd never found anyone that she'd actually liked before. She loved Charles Boyington, and he loved her too. But her dad knew that he was just a printer. He didn't have enough money to support his daughter. So he forbid Rose from seeing Charles Boyington. Now every single day, Charles and Nathaniel Frost would walk down to Church Street Cemetery, and they would sit in the cemetery and write poetry, sing songs, read. Now one day, Charles Boyington left the cemetery, but Nathaniel Frost was still there. So Charles wanted to make something for Rose, and he found that Nathaniel Frost had a knack for wood carving. So he helped him carve this wooden heart for Rose Chapman. Now that day when he left Nathaniel Frost in the cemetery, he went right back to the boarding house, asked the manager and the landlord to ship this package to Rose. Well, he boarded a ship called the James Monroe. And what do you know? Nathaniel Frost was actually murdered in Church Street Cemetery. Now, everybody knew that it had to be Charles Boyington. He was the last person seen with him. So they went after him on the James Monroe, brought him back here to Mobile, put him right up on the gallows in what used to be the courtyard, but it's now a parking lot right here. Now, Charles Boyington, from the moment that they asked if he had killed Nathaniel Frost, he said, "I'm innocent. I'm completely innocent. I would never kill my only friend here." But nobody believed it. So he sat up on those gallows and screamed his innocence. Nobody cared. Was it because he was from the north, or that he loved Rose Chapman? We don't really know. Well, they asked if he had any last words, and he shouted, "Of course, yes. I did not kill Nathaniel Frost. And where you bury my body, an oak tree will grow, and you will see that you killed an innocent man." Now, whack! They killed him, just like that. Hung him right off the gallows. And Boyington Oak sprouted from his grave about 6 months later. Now this right here is Boyington Oak. Now something that is really strange about it to me is it looks like hands that are kind of coming out from his grave and into the sky. And this represents that we Mobilians killed an innocent man.
Got a beautiful tree to return.
But it's a beautiful tree, is that what you said?
And that's that.
We killed that innocent man. Now, actually, about 3 months later, after they had already killed Charles Boyington, they found out that the landlord had killed Nathaniel Frost. He wanted this prized coin that Nathaniel Frost had hidden up under his bed, and he knew that they would blame it on Charles Boyington. What a sad story, right? Even worse,
Some legends are, maybe.
that wooden carved heart that he carved for Rose, it was shipped to her. Yes, of course. But her dad received it before she did and never let her see it. Now there's a rumor that some family here in Mobile still has that wooden carved heart. I'm not sure if I believe that, but it's apparently true. Now one other thing about Boyington Oak is it's actually sprouted from outside of the cemetery because they thought Charles Boyington was a criminal. He didn't even deserve to be buried in the courtyard, so they put him right outside the courtyard. Sad, sad day. Such a good story.
Sorry, we scared Mom.
Alright, now that was a little depressing. But how about a love story? Everybody loves a good love story. Well, I'm not going to say it's a good love story, but it's a love story. Now there was this girl who lived here in Mobile on Emmanuel Street with her parents. Her name was Mary Islands. Now, little Mary Islands, as we like to call her, she was about 15 years old, and she had long black hair, and she wore this long black dress, and she fell in love with this sailor that came to town.
What is that?
Now this sailor loved her,
I don't know, baby.
but it was a scandalous relationship because he was actually married. Mary Islands didn't care. Now the day came where he had to leave. And he told Mary Islands to never change anything about herself, and he would be back for her. Don't change her hair, her clothes, her smile, anything. So she didn't. After he left, she did the same thing every single day. She had the same routine. She would leave her house on Emmanuel Street, go to the cathedral to pray, go down to the docks to wait for her long-lost love, see if he was returning that day, and then go home. And every single day she did that. Now she did that until the day that she died. And this was about 1945. Now, people say that they still see Mary Islands kind of walking around. They call her floating islands because, of course she's a spirit, of course she's a ghost. But she kind of just looks like she's floating along the sidewalk, like nothing's wrong. Poor Mary
How long
Islands.
used to live there?
Now, that sailor never returned for her.
Oh, that's what I just said.
Maybe he was killed in a war, we're not sure, but
My daddy lived there.
very sad
He
day.
used to.
Now, a similar story to that is a story about the captain.
I know,
That's what we like to call it. Now, the captain, he had sailed all over the world. When he came to the port of Mobile, he decided, this is where I want to stay. So that's what he did. He bought a house here in downtown. And he also did the same thing every day, just like Mary Islands. He would go from his home to the cathedral, to the docks, and to Bienville Square, and then back home. Now, while he was in Bienville Square, he had his nice pipe that he would smoke every single day. And nobody really knew much about him. He was kind of like a mystery captain. Now, nobody knows actually when he died because people still say that they see him in Bienville Square or that they faintly smell some smoke. Now, I personally think that Mary Islands and this captain here, if they're both still looking for love or something, maybe they should get together. I don't know. But just be on the lookout for them tonight. Now, my next story is about a woman named Gramere Weeks. We're taking a little unscheduled detour. I'm so sorry. We're actually going to go to our shop. And we just bought this shop here in St. Anthony. A lot of these buildings right here actually are float barns. That's what our shop was. It was a float barn until we bought it. So this is where we work on the ducks during the day. So you guys actually kind of get like a sneak peek, I guess you could say, behind the scenes tour. Dave's got to check something up here, so just hang tight. All right, now Gramere Weeks. Everybody thought that she was like French royalty, but she really wasn't royalty. She had just come over here, but she had really nice clothes and nice jewelry. Now this poor woman, I know it looks scary. It's gonna be fine. Can we turn on some lights? Or off the lights? Okay. It's okay. Just hang on 1 second. Alright. We're ready. Dave, come on. Come on, moving along. It's fine, guys, we're fine. Hold on. We're almost out.
Yes.
Okay. She's getting closer.
Yes.
She's getting closer.
Jocelyn, are you okay?
You know what she looks like? Very honest. Look, I'm looking for the captain for you. You guys are making a nice couple. Any single guys on board? Will you take one for the team? Zach! Alright, well, I ruined my Gramere Weeks story, so I guess I'll move on to the next one. You know what's something very, very funny, which I was not going to tell you before we went in there. And this is a unbelievable true story right here. There was a serial killer here in Mobile. Now, he killed people with an axe. And guess where they found him hiding? In that shop. Now, this was a long, long time ago. But I didn't want to tell you that before we went in. I figured I'd wait till after we told you. Good idea, right? Yeah. I didn't want to tell you before we went in there.
Jocelyn, I love you, baby.
You scared me a little bit there. Alright, now we're going to move on to one of my last stories tonight.
in my lap.
Actually, I'll tell you another one since we're in this area. Has anybody been to the Richard Starr House? Yes? Okay. Richard Starr House, they also have a lot of creepy things that happen there. Now, the Richards family, they were kind of a rich family here in Mobile, and beautiful home, by the way. Well, when they died, they never actually left. I don't even think they died at the Richard Starr House. But people still hear their children running around playing. And to me, children's laughter is probably the creepiest thing. Like if you're in the dark and you hear a child, like that's really scary, right? So they still hear them a lot at the Richard Starr House. And you can go pop in there, check on them.
Oh no, I'm not gonna.
All right, now we're kind of headed onto Royal Street, so you're going to pass the Battle House in a few minutes. Now the Battle House is also super haunted as well. It's actually a wedding crasher that we like to call her. So there was this beautiful woman who was supposed to be wed here in Mobile. And she had this beautiful, beautiful white dress, one of those ball gowns, princess kind of dresses. And her husband wore that, or her groom wore her that, wore a sleek gray suit. Now she was also from a wealthy family here in Mobile. I'm not sure what it is about the wealthy families kind of haunting this area. Maybe her dad was the mayor or something like that, because the entire city knew this girl, knew her family.
I'm sorry. I thought you wanted all the way to
Well,
the
about
window.
an hour before the wedding, The groom disappeared, and so did the maid of honor.
That's a scary building for you, right?
Now, I'm not jumping to any conclusions here, but it kind of seems like maybe the groom and the maid of honor had gone off together. Now, she was distraught. This bride was so upset, and she said there was no way that she could face the entire city, the entire town, without a groom. So she made a pretty bad decision, really bad judgment on this one. She found a rope, threw it over the beautiful chandelier in the crystal ballroom, and hung herself from the chandelier. Of course, her family was devastated, but the groom never returned. Neither did the maid of honor. So that's why I said I wasn't jumping to any conclusions, but I'm pretty sure that's what happened. So now she's the wedding crasher for a reason. She didn't get to have her beautiful wedding at the Battle House Hotel that she planned and hoped for her entire life. She didn't get to have it. So now, when any woman is getting married in the Crystal Ballroom, she just happens to hear someone crying. Now she thinks that it's probably from maybe her bridal party or one of her guests at the wedding, but it's that same woman, just still upset that she never got to have her dream wedding in the Crystal Ballroom. Now, if you go in the Battle House, they have this painting, and when they revealed this painting, it was of just the bride. Very sad bride, straight face, really upset. She didn't have a groom. But people that work at the Battle House will tell you they sometimes actually see a man appear in the picture. And he's only there for just a minute, and then he disappears. But it's almost he's coming back to check on her. So we were thinking that was probably the groom. Maybe he's coming back. Maybe he didn't actually run off with a maid of honor. Maybe he went to go get coffee or something, and it just took a really long time. But I haven't seen that painting in a few months. So it must be somewhere in the back. I think people are actually getting really scared of it. Who knows? And when we pass the Battle House Hotel, which is coming up to your left-hand side, we'll kind of slow down. Because if you look all the way through the doors, you can see straight into the Crystal Ballroom, and you can see that beautiful chandelier. I'm not sure if that's the same chandelier, because of course this was way back in 1906 or so.
So did we.
Look all the way to the back, and that's where you see the Crystal Ballroom. You can kind of see the chandelier hanging from the top. Now I've got one more story for you as we head back to Fort Condy. I was telling you about those YouTube videos, right? If you ever want to look up anything scary, go to YouTube. I think it was Brightside Paranormal. They're the ones that do paranormal investigations. They've done a lot over at the Blakely Historic Sites. They've done a lot here at Fort Condy. Now, one thing that they found in Fort Condy is they found a couple soldiers. They found a couple women in these white gowns that were kind of walking around and talking to them. And they also found a lot of children. Now, they said that these children were kind of the ones that were kind of chasing them and listening to them and answering all their questions. But you can actually hear them on their little EVP thing. You could hear what the ghosts are saying. And they keep saying, "I'm not here." Or the little kids, they'll come up behind them and say, "I'm right here, right beside you." And they also say, "We're not ghosts." So because of that, we like to tell everybody that if you happen to see something a little creepy, something a little scary in Fort Condy Village, maybe a soldier, maybe a woman in that white dress, that's not the bride that's currently at Fort Condy Inn, don't tell them that they're ghosts, because they don't think that they are, and I'm not sure what they're going to do if they think that they are. Now, I don't want to end the tour on a sad, scary note. I don't want to end it on Rihanna either. How about something that we all know? Let's see. See if this works. Because this is basically what we all did tonight too, right? We were Ghostbusters.
So was I.
Right? Yes?
In the boat.
Now, if you want to know more haunted history about Mobile, there's a lot of books about it. You also can ask us, of course, after the tour. We can recommend you some books to read. But overall, I hope you guys had a great time. I tried my best to be a little scary, but I don't think I'm that good at it. So if you want to come back during the daytime, I tell a lot of corny jokes, and I'm really good at that one. I'm better at the corny jokes. But I hope you guys had so much fun today. Round of applause for Captain Dave for keeping us safe and not running over anybody that we saw. Alright, thanks guys. Have a great weekend.
Do you know that?
No, that's good. Okay, hop up. Something fell down there. Oh, okay, there it is.
Alright, how about a big round of applause there for Wanda? Now, like she was saying, if you did have a good time, you can go on TripAdvisor and Facebook and leave us a 5-star review. Like she said, my name is Captain Dave. If you felt that we did entertain you throughout this whole evening, you will be at the bottom of the steps for chef and gratuity tips for a job well done. Hopefully, you were just as entertained as our next group will. Thank you so very much for joining us this evening at Golf Coast Ducks. Have a fantastic evening.
Oh, it was fun.
It was scary, wasn't it? I wish I was on that side so I could like switch the ladies. That was kind of fun, but when that girl was walking, it was too scary.
That was silly.
I want to go back down. But it was actually fun.
my face.
Yeah, this side of my face, all of my face. When the woman was walking, and the mom was children.
Well, I'm sure we're going to talk before I leave, honey.
Thank you. Hi, Miss Daisy. I love you. Hi, Miss Hey, darling. How you doing? I'm okay. How are you?
For our daytime tour, our spring time out.
You got left behind.
So,
I know, you left me behind, didn't you?
usually our last
She said you got left behind.
but as we get more and more daylight, we'll keep going later and later.
Huh? Yeah.
Well, we got another one going on
Abigail, grab the trash out of the truck, please.
one more tonight at 9.
Yes.
We got 2 down already, another one at 9. When we do our specialty tours, most of the time I'll be from here. And throughout the season, we're actually going to be doing other stuff.
Be careful walking down with that, baby girl. Melinda, watch her, please.
Why don't you wait for Mama to get out?
You going?
I get out.
When they fall down the steps like a lady, I figure that's what you were waiting on. Possible to my boy.
All right. Be careful.
Isabella! Walk around there and grab your sister, please. She's coming down the steps. It is an active road
I like the daytime. I didn't like it better. Is it volunteer? Like, do you get paid?
Is it volunteer? Do you get paid for that? Like to like be the person? That's scary.
I don't know what you're talking about. She came out of nowhere. She came out of nowhere.
Okay, can you hold this too? Right here.
Yeah.
Well, I seriously got my phone deaf.